Do you not think a neurosurgeon should have the dexterity to handle utensils used by a third of the world's population?
Listen, it's not that I can't use chopsticks. I just prefer the efficiency of the fork. Oh, come on. I don't have all day to sit around and opine and play with my little tools like you neurologists do.
Hey guys, Jim Halterman, Coffee TV and Me on Substack. I'm here with Teddy Sears from Brilliant Minds. Hey Teddy,
Hey Jim, how you doing, man?
doing very well, doing very well. Teddy, for people who don't know, Teddy and I go way back. I've been talking to him since was it The Flash, the first thing we talked for? I can't even
No,
remember.
hey, Jim, I think it was Raising the Bar in 2008, that Stephen Bochco TNT
That's
project. Yeah,
right. That's
yeah.
what it was. See, we go way back. Wow. See, it's funny when you've been doing this for a while, and some of these shows kind of you forget a little bit, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, of course,
Yeah.
yes, they're
Right.
still
Oh, I remember
there.
that. Well, and I feel like since you've moderated a panel or two, I mean, maybe there was a 24 Legacy panel you did, maybe
Yeah.
in Atlanta.
Uh,
I don't know. We've seen
it's
each other. Yeah.
Yes, we've seen each other off and on, and in Bangkok, which is great, which is where I'm at. But that's exciting.
Yeah, I know. For
Um,
the viewing and listening audience, we got together when I was over there shooting Night Agent in January.
yeah.
We got some coffee. You showed me your favorite haunts, and then when new
Mhm.
cast arrived, I showed them the haunts you showed me as if I'd been there for a while and I knew the
See,
joint. So you made me look
it's
pretty
just
good.
see, paying it forward, paying it forward. But let's talk about Brilliant Minds. Which
Yes, sir.
it's funny because when I heard about the project really early, even before I think Zach was cast, I knew it was
Yeah.
kind of loosely based on Oliver Sacks and a lot of his stories and all that. So when it finally came through, it was exciting. And then to hear Zach's the perfect person to play Wolf, and then that you
Perfect.
were cast. I don't know how you were cast because you and Zach obviously have worked together before. So I didn't know if there was some symmetry from that, or was it not about that at all? Or tell me about you getting cast.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I want to say not about that at all, but Zach he's our star. He's also one of our producers. So I imagine Zach lent his, oh, here's how I know Teddy, or
Yeah.
approved the consensus decision. But it was an audition. I mean, I had the material sent to me. Here's the just how they normally come, which for me is 99.5% of the stuff is nothing's getting offered to me really. I mean, every now and again,
Right.
but really it was an audition. Here's the email, here's the script, here's the audition date. If you're interested, submit your tape by then, right, so to speak. And I was shooting the Flash finale, so I was in Vancouver when
Mm,
I either got the audition just before I flew up or I got it when I was there. But I remember being like, ugh, like I don't want to audition for anything now. I'm like doing this finale, like because when I have a job, I just want to be thinking about the job, right? Like so much
sure.
of our life is about trying to line work up. It's a sort of like a what's next business, and it's kind of hard, for us uh, to focus. Sorry, Jim. So I'm dismissing a call. For us to focus on the present. If it's always like, well, here's what's next. So
Right.
I flew home because I had a few days off and put it on tape in my apartment, like just up against, this very boring gray wall, on the iPhone, and sent it in. And I got a nice note back pretty early on that they were interested in sort of, going to the next round, which would have been a screen test. And then
Right.
we had the screen test over Zoom. And I remember being concerned, like, gosh, over Zoom, like how are you going to get an idea of chemistry? I liked being in the room. I like us all meeting together. I like being face to face. And
Yeah.
but I do have this history from working on the first season of American Horror Story in 2011. Where I want to say we're friends, but like, we're not talking on the phone a lot. We're not like going to each other's houses, but we've known each other.
Right.
My wife and I flew to New York to see him on Broadway.
Uh,
You're doing Glass Menagerie. I'll occasionally send him notes. We bump into each other. So like, there's a professional relationship, and we also like each other. I didn't want to reach out to Zach beforehand, like early on, because as a producer, Zach might have been like, I like Teddy, but he's not right for it. And I didn't want him to kibosh the things I wanted to get in and read. I did let him know, hey, I got a test coming up, and he's like, cool, I'll see you there. And then the test went well. And then we were initially supposed to do this if it were, no, we were supposed to do this. We shot this pilot in March of 2023. And then of course we had the strike. So, here we are
right.
18 months later, finally making it on the air. Yeah.
That's amazing. What did you know about Nichols going in and those even just for the pilot or auditioning? Because I know those first few episodes, I was even like, I want to know more about this guy too. I know it's this show's about
Yeah.
Wolf, but.
Right.
And I know you were getting
Right.
questions like that because I was watching your Instagram, when you would get on Instagram and ask people a lot of
like,
people were like, we
who
want to
are
know
you,
more.
dude? Right.
And now thankfully
Right.
the episodes that have just aired have filled in some of those questions. But what did you
Yeah.
know early on, and what did you kind of have to fill in for yourself, even if it wasn't in the script yet?
Yeah, the audition materials came with the breakdown, and for those who don't know, the breakdown is here's what your character is, here's his sort of personality traits, quirks, what have you, and it mentioned in the breakdown, I believe, something about it being a sort of a rival antagonist character to Wolf / potential sort of romantic partner or love interest or something like that. I mean, with a pilot, you're aiming for the moon and you're hoping to get the show picked up, so you tend to cram a lot of stuff in the pilot. But based on based on just the description of who this guy was, and the writing's so good. Michael Grassie's such a good writer, and our whole writing staff's great. But Michael wrote the pilot, and the way that it was written, every now and again, I'll stumble upon a project where the way the character's written is exactly the way that I speak, and so it makes it easier to remember. And conversely, when the writing is not how I speak, it's harder for me to learn the lines, and also I'll try to bend it or add words to make it sound more like me. Most writers are okay with that, like Aaron Sorkin notwithstanding. I think that, and then I just sort of knew who this guy was. I mean, he's a neurosurgeon. These guys think that they are, gods among men. It's a really catch-all phrase, but and this guy particularly, very cerebral, has a very clear idea of how to do things and has been successful up to that point because of that. So I just sort of, based on what was in the pilot script, there was a handful of scenes. A couple of them got cut out for time / it was sort of not quite right for our pilot. And based on what was in there, I just thought, I know exactly who this guy is. I just had a really strong feeling. And I did that in the tape, and the powers that be responded. And, and Greg Berlanti and his wonderful companies behind this. I mentioned Flash. I worked for Greg doing Flash on and off for that run. So it's nice to have that familiarity there. And I'm not really sure what brought it across the finish line for me, but I do know that Jack and I had a wonderful chemistry read, and I'm glad they did, because I think we match up really well. And a lot of times, my head, because I so admire Zach and I so look up to him as a professional, I just, I was like, I just want to make sure that I'm matching this dude's excellence on screen, and there's a good tension between the characters. There's a healthy respect, but also rivalry thing. There's definitely an attraction. There's all this wonderful stuff to play with, and we've been kind of off and running since the show started. And to your point, Jim, in episodes sort of 4, really 5, we get a sense of Nichols' backstory, maybe why he is how he is, and what he experienced earlier in his life, military background during Don't Ask, Don't Tell, the things I think that shaped him to be someone who's determined not only to be, listen, this guy not only wanted to be a surgeon, which is itself, a cream of the crop, but like a neurosurgeon. So like the best of the best of the best. So something about that and that decision to go that route told me a lot about him and his desire to just be the best, if that makes sense. It's a catch-all term, but just this guy to be the best. And so there's a little oil and water element between he and Wolf, because Wolf is the best, clearly is the best. And he's effortlessly the best. And he's not as cerebral as Nichols. So that's been a really fun thing. Whereas Zach is much more, Zach's playing of Wolf is much more empathic and compassionate, and sort of all-consuming sort of dedication to his patients. And that, I think, is in contrast to Nichols' much more cerebral, much more sort of regimented and orderly approach to things in like a textbook kind of med school kind of way. That's a long answer, but I hope that's sort of what you're.
It's okay. I think I hear your cat chiming in as well. Is that a cat?
Oh my God! It's dinner time. It's yes, it's dinner time, and I have been relying. I'll get to it after, guys, but they're reminding me haven't been.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We have cats. So I kind of need to cry. I was like, oh, I think somebody needs something. So anyway, we'll
Yeah,
wrap it up today.
the desperate.
Yeah, we'll get through this. So
No,
the
this is
cats
good. I
can
mean,
eat.
the problem we're going to have is we're not going to have enough time to
Uh,
hang and like get all these questions in.
right,
But yeah,
right, right. So the episodes that have just aired, 7 and 8, I'm glad that I don't love a slow burn, because one, I think we all don't have the patience to watch like a whole season of people were dancing around each other. So I like that at the end of episode
right.
7, Wolf kind of
Yeah,
realizes, yes, I need to take a chance and maybe see what's going on here. And then in
yeah.
8, we get to see how that plays out a little bit in the workplace and how these guys are together. Tell me what
Yeah.
your take was on what we see in episode 8, because you get to see that they're very attracted to each other physically. But I
Yeah.
personally love that there's also some scenes where they're just talking. They're having Chinese food, and you're seeing that they
Yeah.
relate on a different level. It's not just a physical thing, which I like. That there's a lot more going on between these guys. But how was that to play some of those scenes?
Well, it was great because to your point, there's a sort of a magnetic attraction. Even though I mentioned oil and water, there's something, like when someone just gets under your skin, like, God, that
Yeah,
person just annoys me so much. Well, then why are you still thinking about it? You can't sort of get that out of your head. Like, what is it about this person? Like that element's intact, as well as a real deep respect, which I think Wolf earns in the pilot as he's presenting sort of, here is my novel approach to solving this woman's issue with her children, and here's our plan to move forward. I think he was dubious at first, and then he sort of
yeah,
became sold of this guy's novel approach, and a novel ability to sort of crack these difficult cases. So there's been this building respect, and clearly there's been this tension. And as these two have gotten close to each other, it was for me. First of all, it's a thrill because I mean I get to tell a story that to me has great meaning. And it was also really fun to kind of figure out in that episode, well, what is this? Like, what are we
yeah,
doing? Is this the start of something? Are we just teenagers here, like, getting dopamine rushes? And then the scene where we're sitting around eating food, there is this sort of, there's a couple of takes I wanted to just say, like, God, you're such a dork, but in a way where it's like, you're so cute, like, you're just such a, God, you're such a dork,
right,
because there is that too. There's a playful side to Wolf. There's like a sort of a wonderful sort of ability to banter that I think the writers have really captured between these two.
yeah,
That also speaks to like a larger friendship, a larger ability to hang out with the person that you may
yeah,
have, sort of different viewpoints as far as like how to approach patients and whatnot at work. But at the end of the day, there's just something that these two have. And that's what we're going to be exploring going forward. And especially at the end of 8, after Nichols has said in a very cerebral way, sort of thought about it, and this isn't right, and here's why this is
right,
really what it was, and it's not really what I'm feeling here. And then there's hospital politics, and your mom's my boss, and all that stuff. That that Wolf just takes it to that place where only he can. And it's about feelings. It's about trying, and it's about, yeah, there's a chance that this is gonna suck and not work and be awkward, and why not? And I think that gives Nichols permission to just stop being so cerebral and to
yeah,
just go with his feelings, which is different than how he normally operates, which is, I think, completely, he's out there playing the field, having a good time, but to have something of substance is also new for him. And I think he's struggling with some identity stuff around that, but that's going to be a really fun thing to see play out. Yeah.
yeah. How does the workplace element of it, does it become a conflict? Because yes, Wolf's mother is the boss,
Yeah.
and there's
Yeah.
also what all these younger interns are going to think, seeing their boss, having
Yeah.
like, there's a lot of potential there. Rick, can you tease what's coming as far as some of the complications?
I mean, all I'll say is while there are all those things to navigate, what takes center stage are our A and B storylines every week and the cases
Yeah,
that these two have to solve. And there's a lot of working together, and there's a lot of differences of opinion about how to work towards resolution for these patients. So to me, it is less about the sort of hospital politics, who's going to notice of it all, and more about just doing the work that they're all there to do day in and day out. So if that makes any
Okay.
sense, it's a vague tease, but we really stick with our great actors, our great guest actors, and our stuff is a part of every episode. But it's a bit more straightforward than I think we might be expecting. That's super vague,
Okay.
but yeah,
That's okay.
tune in.
Good
Yeah.
man. I have to ask you real quick because one of the parts I thought was really cute is when the guys are kissing in the elevator and the elevator doors open and Donna Murphy's standing there, which is just
Yeah.
hilarious. But I wanted to know, like, how did you guys have to choreograph that with the timing of the doors opening at the right time, or was that more complicated than it
Absolutely.
looks?
No,
Okay.
we did, and Zach is so smart. Zach's like, elevator acting is tough because there's no, like, is the camera inside the elevator or is the camera outside the elevator door? And
Right.
knowing
Yeah.
what sort of lens you're on to know what's actually being captured and what we need to think about, and are we going up or are we going down, and what floor are we going on? And so it was a bit more technical, but there was absolutely, we're like kind of hanging out and we're talking and we're hanging out, and then it's like, sound speed, and then you hear and then it's the doors shut, and then it's ready, and then come together, start making out, and then we just know that it's like 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000, and all this stuff becomes highly technical and a bit of a beautiful dance. And Donna Murphy is so powerful in her stillness. What she's able to deliver, it was awesome. It was awesome to behold. I just think she's magic.
Yeah, she's I love her a lot too. And it was a fun moment.